Combined with being a fast eater or distracted eater, I see you watching this video eating right now. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brandon. I wanted to create this channel as an opportunity to dispel some common nutrition myths, provide general fitness and nutrition advice, and then if there's comments or questions regarding other things, I'd be happy to explore some other avenues. So a little bit about me. I have a doctorate in clinical nutrition. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I've worked clinically in the hospital, and I currently coach clients through nutrition and fitness guidance. Today, I wanted to talk about weight loss and why so many of us commonly struggle with weight control. Some difficulties may stem from childhood in terms of learning habits or perspectives bringing self-shame or self-sabotage, and many are due to systemic issues, at least in the United States, surrounding the availability of foods or even widespread lack of adequate education in school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, nutrition education was maybe a quick lecture or lesson that was more of a blow-off. No one really was concerned about it, and I wasn't either at the time. So for starters, let's talk about the idea of calories. In Western culture, calories often have a negative stigma or reputation around them. Now, calories are really just a unit for measuring energy. With that being said, many other countries use the term energy instead of calories in food labels. I think this is a powerful idea to show us that food is our fuel. It's not a punishment to consume energy or carbs or fat. It's more so understanding the basics of why we see benefits to having each of these food groups, especially having some in their natural state compared to relying heavily on the processed versions. So the most basic way to break down weight gain, weight loss, weight maintenance is looking at how many calories you consume in a day in contrast to how many calories you burn in a day. Barring conditions like hyper or hypothyroidism, this is the tried and true way of controlling for weight. It's typically thought that a pound of fat is about 3,300 to 3,500 calories, so that would mean you would need to have a deficit of 3,500 or so calories in a week to lose 1 pound of body fat. Now, I see very often that people are motivated and they want to see results fast. It's great to be cognizant and active about your health while doing it in a safe way, but what often happens is that these diet attempts aren't done using sustainable methods, and it leads to crash dieting and things like that. For example, if your maintenance calories are estimated to be 2,200, so you wouldn't gain or lose weight if you had 2,200 calories a day, and you start aggressively dieting down to, let's say, 1,200 calories, you may lose up to 2 pounds of fat per week, so that'd be a 7,000 calorie deficit, but you will very likely crash at such a high calorie deficit and rebound back to your original weight, or often an even higher weight than what you started at. So it might take a couple weeks for that to happen, a few months, but that's often known as crash dieting or yo-yo dieting. This is why I try to approach nutrition through realistic long-term solutions. What are changes we can make that you can sustain for life without always bouncing back, feeling defeated or restricted with what foods you can choose, and then causing your health journey to stop altogether? One of the first things to notice is our heavy reliance on processed and ultra-processed foods. Americans typically value free time highly, and as a result choose convenience and ultra palatability, meaning ultra tasty options for their foods. There's a few problems that can come from this. One, producers' jobs are to make foods that consumers will buy. They're not necessarily concerned about your health, micronutrient intake, or weight management. They want to make foods that taste really good to the general population, meaning often high levels of saturated fats, added sugars, and so on. So if we're looking at a man that might be 6'3" and a woman who is 5 foot eating prepared meals that only have one portion or serving size, do you think that would equally affect them realistically? Would that have the same effect on weight management? People with smaller frames typically need less energy to build and repair their bodies. If you're closer to the 5 foot mark, eating prepared meals at 800 calories each can easily blow over your daily calorie needs. You might find yourself needing to lower the serving size manually of many prepared foods. A large portion of processed foods contain heavy amounts of oils and saturated fats, as well as salt. Heavily relying on these foods can greatly increase your risk for developing high blood pressure or cholesterol. In terms of eating habits, many people, including how I was raised, have lost touch with their ability to understand their hunger cues. So if you grew up in a household where the plate was handed to you full and you were told to finish all of it, you likely passed the point of being adequately full, and more so to the point where you were uncomfortably full. Combined with being a fast eater or distracted eater, I see you watching this video eating right now, that can easily build habits of eating in excess. So you might ask, what are some ways to combat this? The short answer is finding nutrient-dense foods that will fill you up longer and satisfy you. Any diet that asks you to completely remove a food item or macronutrient is inherently a fad diet and should almost always be avoided. In my last video, I talked a little bit about the keto diet and eliminating all carbs, so by definition, that would be a fad diet. I think one of the best ways to visualize or understand different food groups is through a chart showing 500 or so calories of each food group. So hopefully I can pull it up on the side, but if not, let's say you have something, if your stomach is this big and you're having 500 calories of oil, let's say, it's very low in terms of nutrients per calorie. It's pretty much straight fat, low nutrients, mostly calories, and it will barely fill you up. You could have a 3-course meal after. Then you go from oil to cheese, so still heavily fat, some protein, some carbs, but doesn't fill you up that much. Then something like meat, it will fill you up quite a bit more. Still a lot of room for nutrients. And then you go to things like whole grains and legumes. They'll fill you up very much so with 500 calories. And then fruits and veggies. You will be full to the brim. So this is really important for how to make your meals, how to make your plates, and kind of understanding why those top 2 groups are so filling, why they have so many nutrients in them. So one thing is nutrients in general, they take time to digest. Think of eating 500 calories of fruit, how difficult that would be for most fruits. Just the time chewing in their raw form, and digesting. The amount of fiber they have is a really big reason they're filling. So it's estimated less than 10% of Americans are getting enough fiber in their diet, and fiber is great for many reasons. So one of them is slows stomach or gastric emptying, so food will literally be in your stomach a little bit longer, so you'll feel fuller longer until it's digested. It can also help lower your bad cholesterol. It can regulate your blood sugar a little bit so it's not spiking and crashing compared to eating or consuming juice and soda and things like that. So I heavily recommend finding sources for that. There are some processed food items that are fortified with those food groups. So there's like tortillas and breads and pastas now that have those. I really like chickpea pastas for some extra fiber and protein. So the goal here isn't necessarily to only eat whole foods or those nutrient-dense foods, but to see if there's room to increase those a little bit in your diet. Let's say you're having Greek yogurt for breakfast, add some blueberries. There's so many nutrients in those and antioxidants that can help fight certain types of cancers and reduce the risk for other disease. Sometimes meal prepping is a really, really easy way. So on Sundays or the weekends, if you can like batch prepared vegetables, whole grains like oatmeal, brown rice, things like that, and then just pull from it throughout the week. Those are all really great strategies. So we'll break those down more in future videos. This was just kind of a part 1 introduction. There's so much more to talk about on this topic, so I think we'll end here for now. In the future, I'd like to go over more psychological relationships with food and how some strategies to overcome those, but please comment down below if you have any ideas for future videos. Please like the video if you enjoyed watching. Be well, and I'll see you next time.